I have a legitimate question. Why play garbage mobile games when you can just run actual good cell phone games like the ones you grew up with right on your phone? I'm talking like actual GBA classics, so you don't get any of the energy timers or microtransactions or daily quest limits. Just pure gameplay with none of that extra nonsense. If you emulate games using a phone, you know how easily good games can be ruined by having to use touchscreen controls, or you get stuck having to use one of these things. So with this list, these aren't games that barely work with the touchscreen. They're not games you have to do finger gymnastics to be able to play well. They're games that feel like they actually came out on cell phones originally. Really good old GBA games that feel like really good cell phone games now. Games that translated well with the touchscreen controls that, like I said, there's no uncomfortability when having to play them. So here's 10 games that you can emulate on your phone that are a lot of fun to play, that work well and work naturally. Take pinball mechanics and combine them with Pokemon themed objectives, and you have Pokemon Pinball. You launch a Pokeball and bounce it around 2 dynamic tables, aiming to catch and evolve Pokemon. There are mini games, bonus stages, and even a Pokedex to complete. There's actually quite a few pinball games for the GBA, but I found after playing them all for many hours that this one holds up the best. The mechanics of having to catch Pokemon and actually be strategic with how you're smacking your balls and where they go keeps things interesting. Filling up the Pokedex and learning all the little secrets makes this game stand out from its competitors. Throw in some good music and excellent graphics, and you have an addictive little game that's super easy to pick up and play. With simplified controls but surprisingly complex gameplay for a pinball game, Pokemon Pinball is one of the most perfect GBA games you can play on your phone. Both the Advance Wars games on GBA feel like they were built for a phone screen when playing them. You control an army of units, tanks, infantry, helicopters, air units, and artillery in grid-based battles. You use terrain, unit types, and CO abilities to outmaneuver and overpower enemies across varied maps. Advance Wars 1 introduced you to the basic turn-based battles, simple maps, and classic commanding officers with unique powers. It's straightforward with a solid campaign and solid difficulty. Advance Wars 2, Black Hole Rising, builds on that by adding new COs, tougher AI, and more complex maps. It also introduces new units and better balance, making the strategy deeper and the battles more intense. The story in the second game is much darker overall and feels more adult. Even the color palettes chosen make the world feel more dark and moody. The second game is everything the first one was, but bigger, tougher, and with more options to mess around with. I like them both, but I think the second one is a little better. They're equally good for equally different reasons, but you can't really go wrong with either one. Both hold up really well and feel great to play using touch controls. Maybe my favorite puzzle game of all time? Dr. Mario is a classic game that never gets old. You drop colored pills to clear viruses by matching colors in a row. The screen fills up if you're slow, so you gotta stay focused and plan your moves. It's a simple puzzle game that gets more intense as you go, with combos really feeling satisfying when they hit. Controls are simple and the pace keeps you engaged without feeling overwhelming. This is another one of those games that feels perfect on the phone. Because it loads up fast and resets instantly, it's one of those games where just one more try turns into a full hour before you notice. A solid pick for quick, no-fuss puzzle action, no fancy gameplay, just classic puzzle mechanics that still feel fun today and translate really well to a phone. A classic character that I haven't seen around in way too long, Bomberman Max 2 gameplay is similar to most Bomberman games where Bomberman lays down bombs to destroy enemies and blocks. This one kind of changes the formula at its core. Yeah, it's still Bomberman. You're laying down bombs, blowing up blocks, clearing out enemies, and trying not to blow yourself up. But this one shifts away from the classic multiplayer mayhem that most people expect from a Bomberman game. Instead, it leans into single-player, mission-based structure, with a strange twist: monster collecting. Each version, red for Max, blue for Bomberman, has exclusive monsters you can collect, kind of like Pokemon. These monsters, called Charabombs, aren't just cosmetic. You actually equip them for added abilities. Each one gives the main character a specific boost when equipped, like instantly maxing out your bomb's firepower. They can also be used in battle mode or fused together to create new Charabombs. You can only bring one at a time, so part of the strategy is figuring out which Charabomb fits the level or situation best. The stages themselves are more puzzle-like. You're not just blowing things up, you're trying to complete specific goals, like reaching an exit or beating certain enemies. It's less about fast-paced chaos and more about solving the layout of each map and figuring out the right bomb placement, often under a time limit. One of the best Bomberman games I've ever played by far, and it still feels fun today. One of the most original fighting games ever made, Digimon Battle Spirit 2 isn't about draining health bars, it's all about grabbing Digisouls. These souls drop whenever you land hits on your opponent. Fill your gauge, and you can evolve mid-fight into your beast form for harder hits. Land strong enough attacks, collect 5 yellow diamonds, and you unleash your ancient form, which is a big cinematic attack that can only be done in this specific way. You would think a fighting game would have some complex control scheme that would make it not playable on a touchscreen, and while that is the case for most GBA fighting games, because of the unique control scheme and battle mechanics, you're not required to press long button inputs or long strings to perform combos. Everything is done by combining just 1 or 2 button presses. There's also a weird little bonus mode called Digimon Shoot. You're basically marbles trying to knock each other off a platform. I'm a sucker for mini games within larger games, so this was a welcome addition for me. This whole package overall just holds up really well. The graphics are amazing and look beautiful still, and it's a ton of fun to play in quick sessions on the go. I definitely recommend Digimon Battle Spirit 2 for the GBA on your cell phone. TMNT is a game from a golden era of gaming where we used to get a movie tie-in game, and those games not only were sometimes good, but the GBA and DS would often get their own separate 2 or 2.5D version that would be different from the console release. Often it would turn out to be really decent and occasionally great. TMNT is the latter. This game is a perfect example of this formula done properly. A fast 2D brawler where you pick a turtle, tear through waves of enemies, and chain attacks into massive combos. Each turtle has unique moves, you can call in a bro for help, and even juggle enemies in the air. Weapons drop, and environments can be smashed for health or gear. It plays like a classic arcade TMNT game, and it has simplified controls that translate well to a touchscreen. This game was never part of my collection back in the day, but I was very happy to recently discover it. Everything about this game holds up today, and it's still very much worth a playthrough, especially on a phone. This game doesn't need much explanation. Super Monkey Ball Jr. brings the core experience of the original Super Monkey Ball to the Game Boy Advance, with you controlling the tilt of the stages using the D-pad, while the A and B buttons adjust the speed of the tilt. Your goal is to roll your monkey through challenging courses, collecting bananas for points and extra lives, and reach the goal before time runs out. Super Monkey Ball Jr. manages to deliver the tight, addictive gameplay of its console counterpart, despite hardware limits it faced on the GBA. The graphics look great, and the amount of different biomes you go through is kind of nuts in just the sheer amount of variety there is. The controls are precise, and the level designs are challenging and fun. Some people are going to try this game for the first time and think I'm trolling them by telling them to play it on a touchscreen. Trust me, once you get the hang of this game, it hits and it's awesome. The tilt controls using the D-pad and buttons make it easy to pick up and play anywhere, and mini games work great with pass and play style, making it even better for a fun, fit phone play game. Try and say that again. Alright, give Monkey Ball a try. One of the best sports games on the GBA if you count golf as a sport. I think it's more of a game than a sport, but that's not an argument for this video. Mario Golf Advance Tour is fantastic. You combine classic golf mechanics with RPG elements as you play through various courses with human and Mario characters. Choose your shots by adjusting power and spin, aim with the D-pad, and compete in tournaments. Level up your character to improve stats like drive, control, and spin, making each shot more precise and powerful. The game features an overworld map you can explore, interact, and unlock new courses and characters. This felt almost like traveling around an RPG, and I really enjoyed that. It nails the balance between easy to pick up gameplay and deep progression that keeps you hooked. The RPG style upgrades give you real goals beyond just hitting shots, all wrapped in a classic Mario style. The game is packed with content, and the controls feel tight and natural. Simple button presses and D-pad aiming make it easy to play on touchscreens. If you want solid golf gameplay with some Mario flair, this is a great pick up and play game. Dogs 2 is an enhanced follow-up to the original Game Boy Advance Dogs game, bringing more variety and features while keeping the same cute, laid-back vibe. You adopt and raise a digital puppy, feeding it, teaching it new tricks, decorating its room. Compared to the first game, Dogs 2 adds a bunch of new dog breeds, additional tricks, fresh mini games, making the experience deeper without becoming overwhelming. The game plays out in an isometric world like an RPG, where you control a player avatar, interacting with your pet and your family. They guide you through caring for your dog. Beyond pet care, there's simple mini games like changing music, tidying up. They're kind of basically mini games to just break up the routine. Its strength lies in its cozy, low-stakes gameplay loop that reminded me a lot of like a Tamagotchi or one of those Pocket pal things from back in the day. This isn't really my type of game, but it is very well made, and anybody who remembers those Tamagotchi things or has been missing that, or hears their girlfriend talk about, I wish one of those things was still around, well then what you can do is you can completely scratch that itch with this game. So for that reason, I put it on this list. It's kind of a forgotten gem depending on who you ask or depending on the type of player you are, but this one is fun to have on your phone. Give Dogs 2 a try if this is the type of thing you're into. The final spot here goes to not only one game, but an entire genre. Turn-based RPGs from the GBA era translate to phones so well, it's honestly ridiculous. Thankfully, the GBA had a ton of these, and not assigning just one game isn't a cop-out, it's just that this entire genre translates so well to touchscreen format. Most RPG games are turn-based and don't require any crazy button combos or inputs. Most of the games have the majority of the heavy lifting done with menus which are much more easy to navigate through with the touchscreen D-pad than anything else. Furthermore, it doesn't take away any of the feel or charm from the games. Where some games may not feel as good not having a controller in your hand, this entire genre feels great to play on phones. Having a big complex RPG in your pocket feels nice. An entire world to jump in and explore, normally with some good overarching story, is an awesome thing to just be able to pull out and play anytime. I have a list of 10 amazing RPGs on the GBA on my channel here that you can watch and reference if you're not sure which specific RPG to play, but there's many great titles released on the GBA and you can start with any of them. But almost every one translate over very well to touch controls, and for that reason, I'm picking the entire genre of RPGs. So yeah, not every GBA game works great on a phone. Some are a straight up nightmare when you're trying to use those virtual buttons. But the ones I showed you today, they actually hold up. You got no weird L and R grip combos needing to do stuff on the game. Just literal good games that you can pull out of your pocket at any time, play with one hand, sometimes needing two hands. And you don't need a controller attachment or one of these big bulky boys to be able to have a good time. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed my video today. I really appreciate you guys sticking around. If you guys have any games that you think would translate well to touchscreen and that are fun to play just on the go, please drop them in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. And other than that, I just want to say thanks again for coming by. Thanks for watching my videos. If you made it to the end, I really appreciate you. I love you all, and that's it for me. Thanks again. I'm out.